Well, I guess I'm allowed to review this. Oh man. So, this show. Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy crap. Where do we begin with this? Because this is a series that I had no idea ever existed until the day before its release. Uh was on Twitter, saw a fellow YouTuber John Flickpick posted something on Twitter about Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, which was to premiere on Netflix on the 21st, which was on a Wednesday, the same day that Andor premieres on Disney Plus. Now the question was, which one do I want to review first? I watched them all, both of them. I wanted to review this one first. I liked this one the most, but this also had its issues. Um, and I'll get to that here in a second. I'm not going to spoil it for everyone out there because I know this is fresh, this is new. You can binge watch this. This is all 10 episodes. You don't have to wait week to week, which some people don't like, some people like. It depends, whatever. So, with Andor, I watched the 3 episodes. I'm going to give you guys my review for that for sure this weekend. I'm just currently rewatching those episodes just to kind of dissect them a little bit so I can talk about the things that I want to talk about. But right now, this show unnerved the hell out of me. From the very first 5 minutes of this show, I was in. I was in, and it was intriguing. It was interesting. It was bizarre. It was awkward. It's almost every uncomfortable word that's in the dictionary is to describe this show. That's a testament to the writing of this show as well, because the writing is so good um, in building that tension. The scripts for these episodes, I think, somewhat a little unfocused, but not in the worst way. I think that they executed the flashbacks just fine. They don't treat the audience as if they're idiots. They know when there's a flashback. They know when this is a moment from the past, because we do cut to moments that really don't set up a flashback. It just goes right into it. And that's a little bit of the unfocusedness of this show for me, at least, for me personally. But it doesn't take you away at all. You just kind of prefer them to kind of, if you want to do some flashbacks, show this here in this part of the episode. It makes sense here, not here, but whatever. That's the editing and part of the script and all that stuff. But that's fine because you've got 10 episodes here that are just nothing but tension building. And look, you can go on your phone and go through the history of the Jeffrey Dahmer incidents that happened. Because this dude, his span of crimes happened from 1978 to 1991, and it was 17 victims. And so if you've done your homework with this show, and then this is the show that you sit back, and I know a lot of you do this, I do this too. A lot of you will sit back and watch the show, and as you're watching the show, you pause it, and then you kind of look up some information based on the things that you heard and seen on that particular episode. So this is that kind of show. You're in, and you want to invest, you want to, discover, you want to figure out all this stuff. It's great. It's entertaining, but it's also disturbing as shit. And that is also a testament to the performances in this show. Evan Peters, who plays the title character of Jeffrey Dahmer, nails it. Nails it. This dude, I don't know if Evan is going to get some therapy, or if he's gotten therapy from playing this role because he played it so well. I mean, you can go back and watch Jeffrey Dahmer interviews as you're watching this show, and you can see just from the facial expressions and the way Evan Peters, he's into it. He is Jeffrey Dahmer in this show. It's so bizarre and it's so brilliantly acted. And I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets an Emmy nomination, let alone an Emmy. But I don't watch a lot of television to really know and what to predict for those kinds of things. I just know that I just saw a damn good performance. That if this was a motion picture, this is definitely an Oscar-worthy performance. It is an Oscar-worthy performance. He gives an incredible performance as Jeffrey Dahmer. I can't um I just it's yeah, he does it so well. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. The things that this guy does in this show, which, one will sit there and go, well, now they're trying too hard. No, this is historically accurate. These are things that he did. These are the things that he said. These are the poor victims that he brought in. And these are the actions that he has caused. The manipulation game from, if you've done your homework, he always lured men in and bullshitted them and said, "Well, I'm going to take your picture and I'll pay you this," and all that stuff. It's another thing too. You could say what you want about Jeffrey Dahmer. He is an evil son of a bitch. He's a sick fuck. However, he is also the dumbest motherfucker ever. It is the Jeffrey Dahmer story. However, it also showcases the repercussions of everything. It's society, how society and the system failed to stop him numerous times because of racism and gay bigotry. The dude chopped up bodies and gets off on it and then just leaves it in the house or wherever he's at in the apartment and all of these things. I mean, I remember reading up on Jeffrey Dahmer, watching a documentary years ago about this guy. And I remember thinking, like, he's dumb. He's a sick fuck, but he's dumb. Like, there were so many opportunities where the police could have caught him. And that's another issue here where Niecy Nash from Reno 911, who gives a brilliant performance as Glenda Cleveland, and you feel so bad for this person. That was Jeffrey's neighbor. And so when he was doing all of these things, I mean, from the drilling sounds, from the screams, and all of this stuff, she called the cops so many times, and the cops did jack motherfucking shit. They didn't do anything. They just went, well, there's a lot of homophobic cops too back in the early '90s. They had nothing to do with. Oh yeah, I don't. To the point where one of the cops in the first episode, or I believe it was in the second, it was like, no, I got to go back to the station and wash myself. All of this stuff could have been prevented if the cops would have just gave a shit just a little bit, and actually figure out things. The real MVP of this entire series is actor Richard Jenkins as Lionel Dahmer, Jeffrey Dahmer's father. Dude, Mr. Jenkins, you are incredible. It was that you, oh my God, you broke my heart so much throughout this show that really the emotional pull from this show, uh, besides Glenda towards the end, throughout the entire series is Lionel. And you feel for this guy. I mean, you feel like, I mean, at first you're like, well, this dude, like, look at the way he's bringing up his son, doing all this stuff. But then you realize that Richard he's not doing these things on purpose. He's a fuck up as a dad by leaving him all summer by himself. I mean, it's his fault just as much as his mom. You, but there's moments in this, and I don't want to give anything away really, but there is a moment in this where he delivers this performance, and you see, speaking of character arcs, a true arc of this character, how when one finds out about everything and starts putting the pieces together after the fact, it crushes you, man. It crushes you because any father out there, I think, strives, I like to believe that any good father out there wants to be involved with their kids, wants to help their kids shape the person that they want to be, help them do those things. And I do believe that Lionel Dahmer was truly believing that he was a good dad. And he wasn't an abusive father. He never smacked his son. He never did anything terrible to his son. He never molested him and do any of those things. He was a nice guy, and who had a few faults that he was very unaware of. And you, as the viewer, me, I'm sitting there going like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? If you would have just done this, perhaps if you would have just had friends or whatever. But there is a moment, and I'm not giving anything away, but there is a moment where Lionel acknowledges through the dialogue. There is a scene here where the acknowledgement of what us, the audience, is thinking, it happens. And it's great. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Richard Jenkins, perfection, my friend. Um, Also, Molly Ringwald is in the show. She plays Sherry Dahmer, the stepmom of Jeffrey Dahmer. And we've got Mary, she played Mary Kay Letourneau. I almost called her Mary Kay Letourneau. Penelope Ann Miller. Penelope Ann Miller. She plays Joyce Dahmer. She plays Jeffrey's real mom, who is a fucking loon, man. Oh my god, she was nuts. But you know what, though? There are times where her character, you understand why she is the way she is. The writers do a very good job of explaining those things instead of just making her just a two-dimensional character. Like she's just this crazy mom. There is reasons there. There are layers there. There's information to everything that's happening in this show. Um, but Niecy Nash, she kills it, like I said, as Glenda Cleveland in the show, and you do feel really bad for her. Well, of all the things that she has experienced with Jeffrey as her neighbor, especially with, there's a scene with, and I'm not giving too much away, but there's a scene with this kid who is very disoriented, I mean, drugged up and all this stuff, and it just breaks your heart because you see how much she gives a shit. And also knowing that this all happened, this is all factual, also it doubles down on the heartbreaking because this all happened and it didn't need to be. It didn't need to happen. This could have been totally preventable. But Jeffrey Dahmer is or was one of those lucky sons of bitches that got away with a lot of shit up until the very end. Now, one person that, and this is very obscure, one person that I was very surprised to see, and this is just the weird 90s kid in me, was seeing Karen Molina White. I believe that's her name. I hope I pronounced that right. Karen Molina White, who plays Shirley Hughes, the mother of Tony Hughes, um, who was Jazz's wife on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Didn't notice until the courtroom scene happens, and I went, I know that voice. I know that voice. If she just said Jazz, yeah. But that's just one little minor, deep dive into pop culture. Uh, Deep cuts there. You're gonna have to like cut within a cut within a cut within a cut to get inside to get that information. It's like a cutception. Anyway, I'm an idiot. Yeah. So, we've got all the, and then listen, the show itself, it was very well done. Is it a 10 out of 10? No. There are issues with how this show is executed. Like I said, it's a little unfocused when it comes to the flashbacks and the flash forwards and going through all these. I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to give everyone their moment, giving everyone their time, because everybody in this show is important. They are important. They're not just there by accident. Every player in this show, everyone that you see, is important. And I thought they did such a terrific job with that. And Sean Brown, who plays Tracy Edwards is the guy who, you know, got away and really was the one that initiated Jeffrey Dahmer's conclusion, if you will. And Yeah, so we've had tons of people in this show that are just, they're terrific. And I mean, even Molly Ringwald, who I haven't seen do anything at all, she was great. I thought she was great. I thought she was great for what she had to do, and there's one episode that does break your fucking heart, man. And I mean, the entire series does because of what happens and what he does to these people. But there is an episode, um, Tony Hughes, who was one of his victims. He was a deaf man who was manipulated and lured in by Jeffrey Dahmer's bullshit and was killed in the process. And there is an episode that is all about him. And what that episode does is that it doesn't only acknowledge him, the person, Tony Hughes, the victim, but that particular episode also acknowledges all of the victims that were killed by Jeffrey Dahmer. And it was beautifully done. It was tragic, but it was also raising awareness that shit like this happened. This happened in our history. This happened in the history of our country, in Milwaukee. So, yeah, there was. It's just it's intense. And what happens towards the end, I mean, you can also go on YouTube and what this is also like one of those shows where you can watch something and it was, broadcast and then you can watch it on YouTube. It's there. It's very interesting. It's very well played. Um, Everyone in their parts. I mean, Evan Peters, Richard Jenkins, Molly Ringwald, Niecy Nash, Penelope Ann Miller. I mean, everyone, Sean Brown, they were all good in their roles. And everyone in this show, even the ones that I'm forgetting, if your name is on the cast list of this show, it's great. I praise this show in the sense that it's a good series. It's a good murder series. It's very interesting. It's not very black and white. It doesn't glorify Jeffrey Dahmer into this hero. It really shows how much of a scum bucket he was and what he did to these people. And the very end, the tribute showing all of the victims, I thought was also a nice, terrific move as well to add that in there. And so yeah, it was good. I liked it, and I'm glad that I was reminded, or it was brought to my attention that it was going to air on Netflix, and I'm happy that I got to watch all 10 episodes. And is it something that I would go back and watch again? No. And it's not because it's bad, it's not because it's terrible, it's because it's that damn strong and it's very disturbing. And it's not something that I would be like, gee, it's Saturday. What do I want to watch? I want to watch the Jeffrey Dahmer series. And there you go. No, it's not one of those. This is something that I'm glad that I got to see once. Maybe in the future, at some point down the road, if somebody said, hey, what's a good murder show? I would recommend this show. And I would probably sit there and watch it with them again. But going on my own and turning on Netflix and no, fuck that. I'm watching Cobra Kai. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for this review for Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. I will be back with more reviews like this. I will be back with a Andor review as well. And for my new subscribers, thank you so much for joining. And hit the subscribe button if you have not done so yet. Hit the like button. What are you waiting for? It's free. There's no pop-ups or anything like that. You click it and you go and you're done. But also hit that notification bell because it lets you know that I exist in the internet as well. Guys, once again, I will be back for more business. But until then, I'm out. Peace.